There comes a time in life when the storm outside feels like it's tearing through your soul. People disappoint you, circumstances betray you, and the noise of the world screams so loud it drowns out your own thoughts. In those moments, you don't need noise. You don't need to fight back. You need calm. Because calm is not weakness. Calm is not surrender. Calm is the roar you don't hear. The power that doesn't need to prove itself. You see, real strength is not about reacting. It's about choosing not to. It's about standing still when everything around you is shaking. That calm, that silence is where your true control lives. And the truth is, most people are prisoners of their emotions. Angry, anxious, desperate for validation. But not you. You're going to learn the one power that separates the broken from the unbreakable: calm. Because when you master calm, you master yourself. And when you master yourself, nobody, and I mean nobody, can take your peace away. Not the betrayal, not the chaos, not even the loss. Calm doesn't mean you feel nothing. It means you've trained yourself to never let anything control you. Most people wake up every day and hope for peace, like it's something floating in the air waiting to be grabbed. But calm isn't luck. Calm isn't something that falls from the sky. It's a decision you make when everything in you wants to scream, when your heart wants to break, and when your hands want to throw it all away. It's easy to feel calm when life is easy. But what happens when life turns on you? When the people you love walk away, when your plans fall apart, when your faith gets tested so hard it makes you question who you are. That's where real calm is born. You don't find it in the noise. You find it in the moment you tell yourself, no matter what, I'm not going to break. You see, emotions come like waves. They rise, they crash, they shake you up. But choices, they anchor you, they hold you steady. And choosing calm is one of the most powerful things you will ever do, not just for others, but for yourself. Because when you choose calm, you teach yourself that the world doesn't control you, you do. You have to understand something. Emotions are real, but they're not always true. They come from fear, trauma, stories we've told ourselves since childhood. And if you let them, they'll run your life. But calm, that's different. Calm is not emotional. It's spiritual. It's a mindset that says, even if my heart's racing, even if my thoughts are spiraling, I will not let that storm inside me become my identity. It takes power to feel angry and not explode. It takes courage to be disappointed and not fold. That's a warrior mindset. That's the kind of strength most people never train for because they think calm is passive. But calm is active. It's fierce. It's loud in silence. It's the decision to be grounded when everything is trying to lift you off your foundation. You can cry and still be calm. You can be scared and still be calm, because calm is not about ignoring what you feel. It's about refusing to let what you feel make decisions for you. That's what separates the mature from the impulsive, the unshaken from the unstable. You ever notice how people lose control when they don't feel seen or heard? How they raise their voices, lash out, throw words like weapons just to feel powerful again? That's not strength. That's desperation. And that's why calm is rare. It requires you to be so full of self-awareness that you no longer need the outside world to give you peace. You become your own peace. That doesn't mean you don't feel the weight of disrespect. It doesn't mean you don't notice the lies, the betrayal, the noise. It means you've trained your heart to handle it all without turning bitter. You've trained your soul to say, I'm better than this reaction. And that training doesn't happen overnight. It happens in the little moments. When someone cuts you off in traffic, when someone you trust disappoints you, when you feel rejected. It's in those micro moments where you build the muscle to choose calm. Every time you hold back what would hurt someone, every time you walk away from drama, every time you breathe instead of blow up, you're telling the universe, I control me now. Choosing calm doesn't mean you tolerate everything. It doesn't mean you allow people to walk all over you or silence your boundaries. That's not calm. That's avoidance. Real calm comes with wisdom. It comes with clarity. When you choose calm, you can still speak up. You can still say no. You can still demand respect, but you do it from a place of power, not pain. And there's a difference. Pain wants to retaliate. Power wants resolution. When you're calm, your energy shifts. People can feel it. Your presence becomes heavy but not hostile. You don't have to yell to be heard. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. That's real authority. That's emotional intelligence. Most people react because they haven't learned how to sit with their pain. But calm people, they've felt the fire, they've walked through it, and they've come out choosing not to let the fire turn them into something they're not. And let me tell you, choosing calm is not the easier road. It's the braver one. Because anybody can explode, but it takes a strong soul to stay composed when everything in you wants revenge. Have you ever sat in silence and just watched your own mind run wild, that voice in your head feeding you anger, feeding you fear, replaying every insult, every betrayal, every failure? That's where most people lose their calm, not because the world is chaotic, but because they never train their minds to stop reacting. You can have all the intelligence in the world, all the success, all the strength, but if you can't control that voice inside, you will always be a slave to your emotion. Calm starts when you learn to talk back to that voice. When you say, I don't need to get revenge. I don't need to explain myself. I don't need to match anyone's energy but my own. That's maturity. That's mastery. And yes, sometimes you'll slip. Sometimes you'll let your anger speak before your heart does. But the more you train yourself to choose calm, the faster you recover. The less you let the outside world shake your inner world. And eventually you become untouchable, not because things don't hurt, but because you've learned not to let them control your next step. People will test your calm every single day. They'll push your buttons, misunderstand your silence, mistake your peace for weakness. Let them. You don't owe your energy to anyone who doesn't respect your growth. You don't owe explanations to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. What you owe is loyalty to your own soul. And your soul doesn't thrive in chaos. It thrives in calm. When you make that shift, when you start choosing calm as your first response, you'll notice something beautiful. You'll stop attracting drama. You'll stop getting pulled into meaningless arguments. You'll start seeing through people instead of reacting to them. And the best part? You'll sleep better. You'll breathe easier. You'll feel lighter because your spirit wasn't made to carry every battle. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is smile, walk away, and hold on to your peace like it's the most precious thing you own. Because it is. And the moment you protect it like that, the world stops being a threat. It just becomes noise you've learned to tune out. You have to wake up every day and remind yourself, today I will not give away my calm. Because people will come for it. Situations will challenge it. But your calm is not for sale. It's your sanctuary. And when you protect it, your whole life begins to shift. You become someone people trust, someone people lean on, because your peace becomes a shelter. Calm people are rare in this loud, angry, impulsive world. And if you can become one of them, if you can become the kind of person who doesn't flinch in chaos, who doesn't lose themselves in pain, you won't just survive storms. You'll walk through them with grace. You'll rise from them with wisdom. You'll lead others without even speaking, because calm people don't have to shout. Their silence teaches more than words ever could. So remember this, the world will always try to pull you into its madness, but you don't have to go. You don't have to join the chaos. You can choose every single time to be calm. And in that choice, you become unstoppable. Most people live their lives on edge, like walking wires soaked in gasoline, just one spark away from an explosion. And it's not because life is harder for them. It's because they never learn the difference between reacting and responding. A reaction is raw. It's emotion without discipline. It's pain without purpose. But a response, that's wisdom. That's power with direction. When you react, you give control to the moment. When you respond, you take control of it. And in this world full of loud voices and fragile egos, the one who can stay centered is the one who leads. Not everyone who talks deserves your answer. Not every insult deserves your attention. You are not obligated to participate in every emotional war someone invites you to. Responding means you've thought about it, you've filtered it through truth, and you've chosen peace. Not because you're afraid to speak, but because you've decided to be wise with your energy. That's a grown decision. That's next level strength. You ever seen someone light up in rage over a small thing? It's never about the thing. It's about years of reacting, of being so trapped by emotions that even a whisper feels like a scream. When you live in reaction mode, Your life is not yours. It belongs to whatever or whoever is loudest in that moment. That's why some people feel exhausted all the time. It's not just life. It's their own emotional instability draining them. But when you learn to pause, to breathe, to step back before you step forward, that's where power lives. That pause between what someone says and what you do, that's the difference between regret and respect. That's the moment where your life starts changing. And it doesn't mean you're cold. It doesn't mean you're numb. It means you value your peace too much to let every trigger dictate your destiny. It means you've graduated from reacting like a child to responding like a warrior. There is power in the pause. That silence right before you speak. That calm before you choose your words. That's where leadership is built. That's where emotional intelligence lives. You think the strongest person in the room is the loudest? No, it's the one who could say something sharp, but chooses silence. It's the one who could expose someone's weakness, but chooses grace. You were never meant to match people's chaos. You were meant to rise above it. And yes, that takes work. It takes strength to stand still when your pride is under attack. It takes humility to be quiet when your ego wants revenge. But real power is restraint. Real strength is choosing clarity over conflict. When you respond with wisdom, you don't just protect your peace, you elevate your life. Because people remember how you handled the fire, not how you felt it. Sometimes people will do things just to get a reaction out of you. They'll push your buttons, cross your boundaries, even lie on your name. Not because they're strong, but because they know once you react, they've won. See, the game isn't about who's right. It's about who controls the moment. And every time you lose your calm to defend yourself, to prove your point, to get the last word, you give them power. Don't give people that kind of power. Protect your dignity. Your silence is often louder than any reaction. Let them wonder why you didn't respond. Let them sit with their own chaos. You don't have to pick up every piece they try to throw at you. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is walk away with your peace untouched and your head unbowed. Because what they meant for harm, your calm just turned into wisdom. Your reaction is your reputation. Let that sink in. People don't always remember what was said. They remember how you acted. And if every situation turns you into someone you're not, angry, bitter, petty, loud, then the situation owns you. But when you can be in the fire and not become it, when you can feel the tension and not feed it, you become a force. You become rare. Think about the people you admire most. Not for their talent, but for their character. The ones who stay kind under pressure, calm under attack, focused under fire. That's who you're becoming. Not because it's easy, but because you've trained your mind to value peace over pride. Because you've realized that no amount of clapping back is worth losing your identity. Every response is a seed. Sow what builds, not what burns. When you learn to respond instead of react, life slows down in a powerful way. You begin to notice what's really worth your energy and what's just noise. You stop letting every offense become a battle. You stop giving people free rent in your head. And in that space, that sacred space between what they did and what you do, you find yourself. You find a version of you that's not driven by ego or insecurity, but by purpose. You start making decisions that reflect your growth, not your wounds. And that version of you, that's the you that wins in life. Not because you're perfect, but because you finally know what peace is worth. And you're no longer willing to pay with your soul just to be right. So the next time someone tries to drag you into drama, the next time your emotions rise like a storm and beg you to explode, pause, breathe, feel everything, and then respond from strength. Respond from vision. Respond from the person you're becoming, not the pain you're carrying. Because you're not here to react to everything. You're here to rise above it, to lead, to grow, to be the one who shows others that calm isn't just a superpower, it's a lifestyle, a weapon, a choice. And when you make that choice consistently, you don't just survive storms. You become the storm the world respects. Stillness is not laziness. Stillness is not giving up. Stillness is where God whispers and the soul listens. In a world that celebrates hustle, noise, and distraction, stillness has become a lost art. But if you want to master your emotions, if you want to walk through fire without losing yourself, you have to go into the quiet places. You have to learn how to sit alone with your thoughts and not run from them. Most people avoid stillness because in the silence, the truth speaks. The pain surfaces, the fears come forward, but that's exactly where healing begins. You don't train your mind by doing more, you train your mind by learning to be, to sit with discomfort, to breathe through the urge to react, to slow your heartbeat when the world is speeding up. That's where real strength is born. Not in the reaction, but in the reflection. Stillness is your classroom. It's where self-awareness is taught, where clarity shows up, and where emotional resilience is built. When you start your day in stillness, even 5 minutes, you're not just calming your mind, you're commanding your life. You're telling your emotions, I run this. Not the fear, not the anger, not the chaos. In stillness, your priorities rise to the top. You realize what actually matters, what deserves your time, your voice, your energy. You stop living in reaction to the world and start creating your own. That's the power of silence. The world will throw everything at you to keep you distracted. Notifications, arguments, bad news, noise. But stillness brings you back to yourself. It's not about escaping life. It's about showing up fully for it. Clear, calm, ready. Training your mind through stillness is not glamorous. It's not something you can post about or prove to others. It's internal, sacred, private. It's the daily discipline of sitting down, closing your eyes, and facing what you've been running from. Your thoughts, your regrets, your dreams, your grief, all of it. And instead of judging it or burying it, you observe it. Like a warrior sharpening his blade before battle, you prepare your mind to meet life with power, not panic. And the more you do this, the more you begin to trust yourself. You stop doubting your decisions. You stop chasing noise. You begin to walk with quiet confidence because you've already fought the loudest battles inside and won. Stillness is where gratitude grows. It's where you stop counting what you lost and start counting what you have. You see the small things, the breath in your lungs, the roof over your head, the people who stayed, the progress you've made. In stillness, your soul softens, your heart opens. You realize that you don't need as much as you thought. You don't have to prove as much as you believed. And you don't have to rush. Life isn't a race. It's a rhythm. And you only find that rhythm when you stop long enough to hear it. Stillness tunes you in to God, to yourself, to your calling. And when you're in tune, everything changes. Not outside, but inside. And when your inside changes, you train your body in the gym, you train your skills at work. But how often do you train your mind? Not to memorize facts, but to sit in peace, to choose presence over pressure. That's what stillness is. It's mental conditioning. You build that focus muscle so when the chaos hits, you don't fall apart. Stillness teaches you that you don't have to respond instantly, that not everything requires your attention, that you can observe something and not attach yourself to it, that you can feel pain and still hold peace. This is elite level strength. Not everyone is willing to build it. But if you're willing to be uncomfortable in the quiet, you will rise with the stillness the world cannot shake. You want to know why some people never change? Because they never sit still long enough to see themselves. They keep running through people, through distractions, through chaos, hoping to outrun their pain. But healing never comes from running. It comes from sitting, from facing it, from breathing into the discomfort until the panic passes and wisdom rises. That's what stillness does. It humbles you, it heals you. And then it empowers you. Stillness won't always give you answers, but it will clear the space so the answers can find you. When you sit in stillness, you stop operating out of survival and start living out of vision. You stop defending yourself and start defining yourself. That's the shift. So if you want to master calm, if you want to walk through life unshaken, start by making stillness a non-negotiable. Put down the phone, turn off the noise, close the door, sit with your soul. Train your mind to breathe before it breaks, to observe before it reacts, to reflect before it speaks. And when you do that day after day, week after week, you build something no storm can destroy. Peace on the inside. You'll still face battles. You'll still hear noise, but you'll walk through it differently. You'll move with focus. You'll speak with purpose. You'll live with peace because you've done the work where no one was watching. You've trained your mind through stillness. And now, the world can't shake what it didn't build. So here we are, standing in a world that pulls us in every direction. A world where chaos shouts and calm whispers. Where people lose themselves trying to prove a point, trying to win an argument, trying to fight every battle thrown their way. But you're called to something higher. You're called to master the battlefield within, because the one who conquers himself will never be conquered by the world. You've heard the truth now. Calm is not weakness. It's discipline. It's knowing you've got fire in your soul, but choosing not to burn everything in your path. It's learning how to sit with the storm without becoming it. When you choose to respond with clarity instead of reacting in emotion, when you guard your energy like it's sacred, because it is, you rise above the noise. You become unshaken, unmoved, untouchable by what once broke you. And that kind of strength doesn't show up overnight. It's built in the quiet hours. It's carved in the stillness. In the moments when no one's clapping, no one's watching, but you choose growth anyway. You choose patience. You choose grace. You choose to rise. Let the world do what it does. Let them talk. Let them test. Let them throw stones. You just keep building your peace. You keep training your mind. You keep showing up with a calm that speaks louder than any shout. Because your calm, it's your crown. And once it's placed on your spirit, nobody can take it off. You don't need to match people's energy. You don't need to react to every insult or prove your worth to anyone. You already carry greatness. Not the loud kind, but the steady kind. The kind that walks through fire and doesn't flinch. The kind that knows who it is without needing to convince anyone. So breathe deeply, stand tall, and walk in your power. Stay unshaken, stay grounded, and never forget, calm is your superpower. Thank you for listening. Thank you for choosing growth. May your days be filled with peace, your heart be anchored in strength, and your mind be forever trained to rise above the noise. God bless you. Stay strong, stay calm.